All right, good morning, everyone. I know we all know each other, but for the benefit of those at home that may not, my name's Tom Coleman. I'm the Director of Public Works and Water Resources for the City of Newark, and I've been serving as the Acting City Manager for the last 18 months. I've been asked to give a presentation on economic development and sustainability in the City of Newark, and that's what I'm going to do here today. First, I'm going to give a quick overview of the city itself. Then I'll move into some of the major challenges that we're facing, discuss some financial sustainability strategies, some economic development opportunities, and then lastly, I'll finish up with how I feel we can build a sustainable community through some of the ongoing initiatives that are underway. So the City of Newark has somewhere between 32 and 35,000 people, depending on where you look. That comes out to a density of about 3,600 residents per acre. It's 3 times that of Newcastle County, but only about half of the City of Wilmington. We are home to the University of Delaware, which creates some kind of interesting dynamics because of the transient nature of a really large portion of our community. This year it's over 22,000 students here at the Newark campus. Also because of the University of Delaware, I'm going to recommend some economic development strategies that are a little different than I would recommend if I were in a city that didn't have a large university. Specifically, I'm not going to be recommending we hire an economic development person. I'm also not going to recommend that we promote any tax incentives and things like that to draw people to the city. Instead, I want to focus on things to make the city a better place to live, resident-centered, resident-focused initiatives that can make it a place where people want to live, where people want to work, and I think that'll dovetail nicely with what the university is doing already. So without question, the largest challenge facing the city is the University of Delaware, their proposed growth, changes in leadership, and their recent decision to shutter a lot of dorms, most recently the surprise announcement at the Christiana Towers. If we don't work with the university and our private developers to provide housing for these students, they're going to flood into our neighborhoods, move into displaced residents, drive up competition for those homes, or worse yet, live outside the city and commute in via car because they won't be able to walk, bike, or take a bus to campus. And that's going to worsen our traffic problems that I think most people would agree are already pretty bad. Another challenge we're facing is limited revenue growth. Almost half of the city, actually it is half the city's land area is tax exempt, almost half of the total assessment is tax exempt, and also our assessments are pegged at the 1983 assessment value through Newcastle County. That means our tax revenue, our tax base doesn't grow with inflation like it might elsewhere. Additionally, we have very limited potential to annex new land. So we have the state of Maryland to the west of us, Lake Creek State Park to the north, I-95 across the south, and pretty much fully developed residential neighborhoods to the east. So we can't add new land that could bring in new growth external to the city's current municipal boundaries. Very, very few areas where we can do that. And that means all of our revenue growth needs to come kind of internally through redevelopment mostly. And redevelopment only gives you a net increase because you have something there before that you knock down to build something new. With higher efficiency buildings, a lot of times we can build more back than was there before and have it bring in the same revenue, electric and water. So we don't see that revenue growth on the utility side that you would with greenfield development. Anyone who sat in on any of the referendum presentations over the last year will know this story, but our infrastructure is aging. We're facing the first need for really wholesale replacement of a lot of our assets, and we have a lot of assets per resident. We currently estimate we have about $15,000 worth of infrastructure per resident in the city. It's a relatively high infrastructure burden. So that's going to be an issue as we move forward with needing to replace that infrastructure. Lastly, we're facing an underfunded pension. So our pension is funded around 69 to 70%. The general fund pension is 69. I think our police pension is just a little better, up around 71%. And that we're going to need to make up over the next few years. We need to get that up to fully funded status eventually. Our post-employment benefits liability is increasing. Right now, I think it's about $1.5 million per year. That's going to continue increasing as we move forward in the years. Healthcare costs, as everybody knows, are increasing faster than inflation. And the strong economy, downside of the strong economy is it's going to create wage pressure for our collective bargaining agreements and for our management personnel if we want to retain our employees. So as far as how do we meet these goals, how do we tackle these challenges, the main financial strategies I'm going to recommend are firstly, smart development, making sure that development that happens in the city is put in the correct place, it's the correct use to meet the goals of the comp plan, the goals of the community, and that it better utilizes our existing infrastructure. And what I mean by that is that if we build something back, it's going to give us a return on that investment. So if we have a really large main, we don't have a single family home adjacent to it. We've got something near that infrastructure that's going to take advantage of it and give us a return on that investment. One initiative that's currently underway is an update to our fiscal impact model that'll expand its currently the fiscal impact model as part of the development review process only looks at the tax implications, the general fund implications. The new model will look at our utilities also to get a full picture of that impact and make sure that we're making smart decisions and building new developments that won't end up with the city poorer after they're built. If we built a large single-family neighborhood, we're actually worse off afterwards than we were before. Couldn't have this discussion without talking about cost controls, being smart about spending, making sure our operating budget isn't growing exponentially. One way that we can look at that is through personnel. The largest part of our budget is personnel costs after you subtract out our utility purchases. So keeping a control on personnel cost growth, potentially leveraging contractual employees as opposed to hiring full-time until we've established that need and that demand for the position isn't going to go away after a year or two. Lastly, some creative solutions like what we did recently a few years back with our healthcare, moving to Divot. That saved us a lot of money over the last few years, and solutions like that are something that we're going to need to have in the mix as we move forward. I've said it before, I'll say it again here. I think Star Campus is probably the best opportunity facing any city in the state of Delaware. And it's also one of the main reasons why I don't think we really have a need for an economic development person. So the University of Delaware has a full-time economic development person working on recruiting people, recruiting businesses to Star Campus, and they have a financial incentive to do it. Right now they have all the infrastructure built out at Star Campus, and they need to start bringing in rents to cover the cost. Just like we have infrastructure in the city, they've got it there in Star Campus. The entirety of Star Campus was tax exempt after the university bought it when the Chrysler plant closed. And all those new businesses that get built down there are going to bring new tax revenue, utility revenue. We never used to provide electric service there, we do now. So that will be new revenue that we haven't seen ever, or at least in 10 or more years. One item that came out of the 2017 tax bill was the Opportunity Zones program. And Star Campus is listed as an opportunity zone. So that's going to bring in outside funding that will help accelerate the growth there at Star Campus. There is a bit of a challenge with Star Campus, and that's that we need to make sure that anything that gets built down there is complementary to the city and not in competition. I know that people have expressed some concerns that we're going to have basically two main streets. We'll have one downtown and then we'll have one on Star Campus. So I think it would be a good idea for the city and council to have a public discussion with the community to talk about what does the community want to see at Star Campus and develop a list of recommendations or our ideas that we can provide to UD to make sure that they don't bring in some big controversial tenant again in the future, and help make sure that it's complementary to the town and not in competition. So I know I had this in as a challenge, but one opportunity is also the university's growth. If we can provide them the housing they need for their students close to campus, where kids can walk and bike and get on a UD bus to get to campus, that will be a good thing to the city. We'll have more residents, more people to share that infrastructure cost burden across. And it will help prevent them from moving into our neighborhoods, crowding out residents and negatively impacting the lifestyles of our current residents. Worse yet, kind of a worst case scenario is those students live outside campus and commute in. So we really don't want to have that happen. A tangential benefit to building new housing is that new housing is going to be built to modern construction standards, more efficient electric use, water use, utility use, and also the kids aren't going to be driving, so you get to avoid some of the vehicle emissions issues that you have with long commuting times. So some of the ongoing initiatives that I think are important and key to point out here mostly are being driven through our Planning and Development Department in conjunction with the Planning Commission and our City Council. The first is a rezoning, a review of focus areas to potentially upzone, increase density, and provide a location for those students, the increasing students and the ones that have been displaced off campus from the removal of some of the dorms. Give them places to live close to campus. That's key. Make it easy for developers to come in and develop where we want them to develop as long as they build what we want in those areas. Second one is a parking strategy, comprehensive review of our parking strategy to reduce or eliminate parking minimums, decouple parking from the rents, so it helps control rent costs, gives students a financial incentive to leave their cars at home and not bring them to campus, help reduce congestion, and that sort of thing. One thing that's not listed here is our sustainability plan, which looks at the comp plan and provides real ways to meet the goals that are listed in the comp plan. So that's currently underway, again, through the Planning and Development Department. All these initiatives are going to help control costs, control rents, and provide financial incentives for people to move to campus, close to campus, leave their cars at home, and get off the roads. And all of them are being developed with considerable public input through Planning Commission and City Council. So I only had 10 minutes. I tried to keep it pretty quick. Again, my name is Tom Coleman. I'm the Acting City Manager for the City of Newark. And now I'll open it up for anyone's questions.